The story begins with the human army capturing the mighty dragon and binding him in chains. Their so-called hero then drives a blade through the dragon's heart. The dragon, confused, wonders why the humans are to fight. Accepting his fate, he offers little resistance and crumbles away, asking the gods for it to the village together. Dolan now lives in a small village called Varun, located on the northern border of the Arkrest Kingdom, after his death as a dragon. So Dolan, he doesn't mind because this life gives him enough food and water. After having lunch, who turned 15 a year ago, moved out of his parents' home to live on his own, although he still lives in the same village. He often goes fishing in the nearby forest with his older brother, using his favorite fishing rod to catch fish. His brother reminds him that tomorrow, he has to investigate the swamp near their village. Dolan explains why. For the past month, the lizards that usually live in the swamp have disappeared, which could disrupt the ecosystem. His brother, worried about his safety, offers to go with him. But Dolan insists that at 16, he's grown and can handle it on his own. He promises his brother that he'll only check the area and won't take any unnecessary risks. Dolan catches a lot of big fish and returns to the village with a full bucket. On his way back, he runs into his friends Malata and Albert, who are impressed by his catch. Malata asks why Dolan went fishing instead of preparing for the investigation. Dolan explains that he has been preparing little by little and assures her he'll be fine. He also thanks her for convincing the village chief to let him take on the job. Malata thanks him back, saying that Dolan has always helped her and Albert with their training. Dolan asks if they're heading out soon. Malata confirms they have a meeting about the next training session for the younger kids. But Albert around the village, and since this village is remote, there aren't enough soldiers to protect the villagers. So, the villagers have to help each other stay safe. Dolan dries the fish he caught in the sun. Then, Ari, the younger, Dolan demonstrates how magic works. He recites a basic spell. He shouts Energy Bolt and shoots an energy, introduces her as Christina, a young noble woman who will stay in the village for a few days. When Dolan shakes hands with her, he senses she is strong and skilled. Later, Dolan has dinner with his family, where it's revealed he has a younger brother named Marco. Dolan's dad suggests he find a wife since he's been lonely, but Dolan says he's happy staying single for now. His dad respects his decision, saying it's his choice as an adult. Marco mentions Dolan's upcoming swamp investigation, which worries their parents. Dolan reassures them that everything will be fine and promises to return with a good story to tell. The next morning, the village captain shows he might run into trouble, so she advises him to be careful. Just before Dolan leaves, Ari gives him a lunchbox for the journey. He thanks everyone for their kindness and sets off. He walks to the swamp, taking breaks to drink and rest used to interact with the village, and their sudden disappearance seemed odd to him. That's why he volunteered to investigate. When he reaches the swamp, Dolan senses the Earth's elemental power has grown too strong, while the water's power has weakened. This is why the lizards left. He remembers his grandma's fortune, telling and suspects that something intentionally caused the elemental imbalance. Suddenly, large mushroom with the lamia. The elemental power imbalance. Dolan introduces himself, and the lamia reveals her name is Selena. Since Selena can use magic, Dolan suggests they fight the elemental together. Though hesitant at first, Selena agrees to help Dolan. She casts a giant spell that summons a huge snake to hold the elemental down, giving Dolan the chance moment. Scared of her appearance, Dolan, having once been a dragon, has met far stranger creatures, which explains why he isn't afraid. Selena explains that she came to the swamp to find a husband, but Dolan shows no interest. Instead, he cooks a stew using his mom's recipe and her luck in finding a partner. He gives her some of because it's still the energy of a dragon. As the sun rises, Dolan admires its beauty one last time before leaving. He tells Selena she's welcome to visit his home anytime. Selena encounters two men on her path, and they ask how she dares to travel alone. Selena responds confidently, stating that she is capable of protecting herself and is much stronger than they think. The men glance at her lower half and, upon seeing something terrifying, immediately flee. Selena tries to stop them, but they run away without listening to her. The scene shifts to Dolan, who is with Ari and their teacher, Meryl. Meryl explains that magical potions are made using magic, infused ingredients, unlike regular medicine, and therefore require more caution when preparing. As they talk, Ari and Dolan work on making potions. Meryl adds that even the smallest mistake in measurement or the added magic could threaten the life of the maker. Dolan fails to make a potion correctly, and Meryl tells him he still lacks skill in potion making. Ari encourages Dolan, saying he has a sharp eye for medicinal herbs and suggests he could volunteer to care for children. Dolan thanks her for her support, admitting that following complex recipes is challenging for him, but he promises to improve. Meryl compliments Ari's potion, making progress, and suggests she go outside for a while. Ari happily agrees and mentions she will help her mother before leaving. Dolan, reflecting on his past as a dragon, talks to himself, explaining that he never needed medicine before, which is why he struggles with delicate tasks like potion. Meryl reassures him, praising his offensive magic skills and reminding him not to rush. As learning comes gradually, she offers to teach him how to turn his failed poisonous potion into an antidote. Later, at the dining table, Dolan thanks his friends for the meal, and everyone expresses gratitude to Meryl for hosting and feeding them. Afterwards, Dolan hurries to catch up with his training, but encounters Mio, who offers him a drink. At first, Dolan refuses, but Mio insists and hands him some milk, which he accepts and thanks her for before heading off. When Dolan finally arrives at the training grounds, he apologizes to Albert for being late. Albert gives the kids a break from training, making them happy as they run to Dolan, eager to show him their spear skills. Albert tells them to take their break, and suddenly Dolan senses the presence of a dragon in the forest. That night, Dolan, still feeling the presence of a monster, follows the sensation into the forest. To his surprise, he finds Selena there. Shocked, he asks her what she is doing in the forest. They sit together, and Dolan apologizes for scaring her earlier. He inquires why she isn't headed south to find a husband as he had expected. Selena explains that while she intended to, her communication with humans has been difficult. People were frightened and avoided her. Dolan expresses his happiness at seeing her again and offers to help her however he can. He suggests she live with them permanently, explaining that many people in the village live alongside monsters and humanoids. Though they might be cautious around her at first, they would eventually come to like her, and her presence would enhance their lives. Selena agrees and tells Dolan there is another reason she sought him out. She needs him to share some of his life energy with her again. Dolan agrees and transfers energy to her. The next morning, Balan, Marita, and the guards discover a large dead monster on the ground. They notice signs of an attack, and Merida tells them it was caused by a large snake. Balan identifies the creature as a lamia, a powerful and dangerous monster. However, they wonder why the lamia left its prey behind. Balan decides they must form a team immediately to eliminate the lamia, but his friend advises caution. With only a few soldiers in the village, they should request reinforcements from the capital. Back with Dolan, he reflects on the deep divide between humans and monsters, but believes they will come to understand Selena's kindness. Meanwhile, the old witch advises patience, noting that the lamia leaves them gifts and may not be as evil as they think. She suggests waiting longer to see how things unfold. At that moment, Ari enters the room and tells her grandmother that the predictions have appeared. She shows her the results, which the grandmother recognizes as the same ones she had seen before. The grandmother advises them to wait and see what happens next. Overhearing the conversation, Dolan is thrilled that the plan is progressing smoothly. Without delay, he rushes off to continue with the next stage of the plan, which is also the final phase. He arrives at Selena's location and informs her that the villagers' caution has lessened, and the likelihood of a team of exterminators showing up is low. Dolan congratulates her on the success of the gift plan, praising her efforts. He then tells Selena that they need to add the final touches to ensure the plan's full success. He instructs her to listen carefully and follow his directions exactly. The scene shifts to the villagers, where their leader addresses them, saying that the Lamia is still nearby. As the defenders of the town, they must learn how to protect their village. He announces that they will continue with the outdoor training session as planned, but warns the children not to wander off alone. The leader stresses the need for caution and preparation. Dolan, speaking to himself, acknowledges that the villagers are right to be cautious. Although they are alert, they are still essential for the final stage of his plan. He reflects on the Guardian Guild, the strongest force in the neighboring village, led by the powerful Balan and his deputy, Merida. He also thinks about Letitia, a nun who is both a healer and the village's spokespersons. Letitia could, at any moment, declare Selena evil and call for her execution. The scene then shifts back to Selena, who is hiding in the forest, feeling nervous. She recalls her conversation with Dolan the previous night. He had informed her that the villagers' training area would be in the Sharp Rabbit region and that he would intentionally run toward her lair. He told her that when he gave the signal, she should come out and save him, which would convince the villagers that she wasn't a wicked monster. Back in the present, the village leader is discussing the leadership when suddenly, one of the soldiers comes running, shouting that a monster has appeared. Dolan is surprised and confused because he hasn't given Selena the signal yet. He wonders if another monster has appeared. The nervous soldier clarifies that this monster isn't the Lamia. It's an armored bear. At that moment, the enormous bear emerges, tearing through the trees. It's a massive creature, as tall as a building, and the villagers are terrified. The leader warns them not to attack it, saying that the bear could kill them all with a single strike. Suddenly, Taro, the leader's son, trips and falls in front of the giant bear. The bear looms over the boy, but Selena and Dolan rush in just in time. Selena takes the blow meant for Taro and uses her powers to control the bear through her gaze, commanding it to retreat into the forest. The villagers are amazed by Selena's ability to control such a fearsome creature and realize she possesses great strength. Selena checks to ensure Dolan and Taro are safe, but the leader, Balan, is furious. He orders Selena to stay away from them. Dolan defends her, arguing that she saved both him and Taro and couldn't possibly harm them now. However, the leader insists that she is still dangerous and that he must protect the village. Dolan refuses to leave, protesting that Selena should not be repaid with hostility after her act of kindness. The leader questions Selena and learns that she was the one leaving food for the village. Selena pleads with them, explaining that she is an orphan with no one to help her. She asks to stay with them temporarily until she can leave on her own. As Selena begins to cry, she promises never to harm any humans. Her tears move the villagers, who start to see her differently and realize she is not as evil as the other Lamias. Just then, Selena collapses, weakened from the blood loss. Nearly 2 hours later, Selena wakes up and finds herself in a beautiful inn, where the villagers have taken her. She expresses her gratitude for their kindness. The village leader, Balan, apologizes for pointing his weapon at her earlier. Dolan approaches her, introducing himself as if it were their first meeting. Overcome with happiness, Selena sheds tears of joy, grateful that their plan has succeeded, feeling blessed by God.
Selena is shown in a house where everyone is speaking to her, and it seems that she will be fine there because everyone loves her. Later that night, something strange happens while Dolan is sleeping. His body begins to glow, and a second version of him, almost like a spirit, emerges. This spirit remarks that he hasn't used his terrestrial form in a long time and feels a bit nervous. So it then takes off into the sky at high speed, though it's unclear whether this is another world or something else. In the end, Dolan transforms into his dragon form and meets a girl who greets him warmly, recognizing him. She tells him that he's been dead for a long time, revealing herself as Meryl. Meryl jokes with Dolan and says she knows everything, especially about the Lamia, referring to Selena. Dolan thanks her, explaining that she made things easier for him, and his return as a human has changed his life. But he realizes that people on the surface live every day as if it's their last, making their lives seem fleeting to higher beings. Dolan is abruptly awakened when Selena enters his room without knocking, announcing that the promised day has come. Irritated, Dolan scolds her for barging in and tells her to knock properly next time. She apologizes and promises not to repeat the mistake. When she asks why he seems happy, Dolan tells her that he had a beautiful dream in which he saw an old friend. Curious, Dolan asks what she means by the promised day. Selena, annoyed, reminds him that he promised to help plant potatoes with Christina and that she would be upset if he forgot. The scene then shifts to a bustling marketplace where a newspaper vendor shouts about the latest news, particularly the case of missing women. However, the details of the case are not yet clear. The next transition takes us to a mansion where one of the girls knocks on the door, and some strange fairy-like characters answer it. Inside, we meet a blonde girl with green eyes named Olivia, the headmistress. Another girl delivers a letter to her, and with the help of the fairies, Olivia uses magic to open it. The letter is from Christina, who is staying in the northern village of Varun. Christina's letter describes how Varun faces harsh weather and dangers due to its location far to the north of the city of Galloway. Because of this, the villagers must train in combat. The next scene shows Christina training vigorously, and during a sparring match, she disarms her opponent, causing them to surrender. The villagers celebrate her victory, and her opponent praises Christina's swordsmanship, though Christina kindly returns the compliment, encouraging her opponent by saying her sword was also fast and sharp. The commander of the training group congratulates Christina and invites her to lunch, where the villagers warmly accept her, even though she is an outsider. As they prepare the meal, they tell her to eat as much as she likes. But as she eats, Christina notices them staring at her, seemingly envious of her beauty. During the meal, the commander jokingly offers to have a drink with her, prompting the soldiers to tease that he will drink everything and leave Christina with the bill. The commander laughs and squeezes his comrades in jest. Later, Christina is in her room, struggling to fall asleep. She decides to go out into the garden to practice her sai. At this point, Dolan and Selena arrive, and Selena senses that something is bothering Christina. She invites Christina to come to her home, and Christina agrees. When they enter Selena's house, Selena expresses her love for home, particularly her bed, which she finds incredibly comfortable and perfect for sweet dreams. Christina is surprised because the bed appears messy. Selena invites Christina to lie down next to her, assuring her that the bed will make her feel warm and cozy. Selena then shares a bit about her past, explaining that as a Lamia, she was initially worried that the villagers wouldn't accept her, but over time, she grew to love the people of the village. She also mentions that Baleen, a villager, loves the milk his wife makes, and that he and the other villagers often compete to see who can drink the most milk in one go. Christina finally understands why Dolan attracts so many visitors. Selena mentions that Dolan's older brother is a skilled hunter, once catching a huge shark from the river, surprising her as she never knew fish of that size lived there. So Dolan adds that the villagers all have remarkable qualities. The next day, everyone heads to Balin's house for a milk drinking competition. When Selena and Christina arrive, they are warmly welcomed. Balin invites Christina to join the competition, and she agrees, curious to taste the milk Balin is proud of. Balin's wife quickly brings her some, and Christina finds it delicious. Balin then challenges her to see who can drink the most milk. Christina accepts, and they start the competition. In the end, Christina wins as Balin struggles to keep up. Afterward, Balin's wife offers Christina a special milk made by her daughter, Mira. Since Balin is too exhausted, she asks Christina to taste it instead. Christina finds the milk sweet and smooth and asks for another cup. Later, Olivia is seen reading a letter from Christina, delighted to hear that Christina has become closer to the villagers. Christina's friend remarks that it's no surprise, as Christina even befriended a Lamia. Later, a grand celebration is held, and people marvel at how Christina's actions prove that friendship between humans and monsters is possible. Her deeds become the talk of the town in Galloways. Kieran speaks to Olivia, showing interest in Selena, saying she is just as beautiful as Christina. Olivia questions why Kieran, a witch working for the government, is so interested in the Lamia. Kieran responds that Selena could be a potential threat, even if she appears harmless. But humans aren't meant to live with dangerous creatures like the Lamia, and the recent disappearances add to their troubles. Olivia replies that while the incidents are concerning, Selena is known for her kindness and wisdom, and her mother encourages people to live peacefully with her. Kieran insists they should prepare for the worst and summon Selena to the capital for questioning. At that moment, Gada, the commissioner of the northern borders, enters, saying the village falls under his jurisdiction and that he will send an envoy to handle the situation. So the scene then shifts to Dolan and the girls working in the field, where Dolan advises Selena to plant more evenly. Suddenly, Clythe arrives, urging them to hurry to the village gates. Gada has arrived with his knights and issues an order for them to take their positions. Gada introduces himself and questions Dolan about bringing Selena, the Lamia, to the village. Dolan confirms that he brought her, and Sister Parami defends Selena, assuring that the wisdom of their mother has deemed her not to be an evil monster. Gada clarifies that while he does not doubt their mother's judgment, he must follow protocol to ensure the village's safety. He plans to take Selena to the general government to prove she isn't a threat. Dolan questions why this is necessary if Gada trusts the mother's judgment. Gada explains that even if they believe Selena is harmless, they must follow the kingdom's laws. Dolan volunteers to accompany Selena, and Gada agrees but warns that it will involve formal procedures. As they prepare to leave, Christina expresses concern for Dolan and Selena, deciding to speak with the director, who has influence within the government. And meanwhile, in the carriage, Dolan checks on Selena, asking if she's in any pain from the long journey. Selena reassures him that she is fine, but admits that she is worried about the trouble she's causing. Dolan smiles and tells her to come closer when she feels anxious, teasing her about how he might have to scold her all night to keep her calm. Christina arrives at the director's office, asking for help regarding the commissioner's visit to the village. The director calmly tells her not to worry about Selena, as she has Meryl's approval. The commissioner, Gada, was not the one who decided to bring Selena in, it was the sorceress Kieran. Kieran views Selena as a potential threat and suspects her involvement in the recent disappearances, despite her peaceful life in the village. The episode ends with Selena and the group arriving at their destination, with Selena visibly frightened. The story continues with Christina telling Lady Olivia that Selena could never be capable of such actions. Olivia responds, explaining that, while it may indeed be impossible for Selena, given that she lives in Baron, suspicion could still fall on her if Kieran accused her. Christina is surprised by this, and Olivia explains that Kieran wields substantial influence within the general government. Christina asks if there is anything they can do to counter this, but Olivia warns her that acting impulsively could lead to accusations of overstepping their boundaries. However, Olivia adds, there is something else that troubles her. The scene then shifts to Dolan and Selena meeting Lady Siran, who welcomes them warmly. Dolan introduces himself, stating, I am Dolan from the village of Varen. I accepted the responsibility of escorting Selena here. Sharon thanks them both and invites them into the palace for dinner. Selena is pleasantly surprised by the food and thanks Sharon sincerely. Dolan advises Selena that if she plans to continue living in Varen, it will be necessary to visit Gallo at some point. Kieran adds that she will begin preparing the necessary documents the next day. Selena, feeling more at ease, says that she was initially frightened when the soldiers appeared, fearing they were there to harm her. Kieran reassures her, telling her that she would never order her execution, appreciating her purity and beauty. The story then returns to Olivia and Christina, where Good arrives. Christina asks what he is doing there and where Dolan and Selena are. Wodka replies that he needs to speak with director Olivia privately. The scene shifts back to Kieran, who comments on Selena's beauty, saying she has encountered many Lamia but finds Selena especially captivating. Suddenly, both Selena and Dolan faint. The scene then returns to Guda speaking with Olivia, asking if she has heard about the recent disappearances of young women in Gallo. Christina mentions that she has heard of it, but wonders what connection it has to Selena. Guda reveals that there is rumored to be a witch living in Gallo, said to be over 300 years old. Though the witch appears human, her longevity suggests otherwise. Christina asks if he suspects Selena, to which Guda replies, as expected from the Academy's best student, you've guessed correctly. He explains that the witch supposedly used forbidden magic to possess the body of a young woman, sustaining herself through it, and has now shown interest in Lamia. Guda warns that time is running short, urging them to leave immediately and promising to explain more on the way. Olivia confides that she hadn't wanted to involve Christina in this matter. The scene then shifts to Kieran, standing before the unconscious Selena, saying, I haven't captured a live Lamia in a long time, but soon you'll be mine. She raises a knife, contemplating skinning Selena as her next step. At this moment, Dolan regains consciousness and demands that Kieran step away from Selena. Shocked, Kieran questions whether she miscalculated the sedative dosage. Dolan, noticing a blood-stained magic circle on the ground, deduces that killing must be routine for her. Kieran admits she used the skin of a gloom lizard to create the restraints, then throws the knife at Dolan, who narrowly dodges it. He demands to know how many she has killed and for what purpose. Kieran admits she lost count long ago, explaining she kills for research, fascinated by beauty and collecting it to maintain her own. Dolan accuses her of engaging in forbidden magic and asks if she made a pact with a demon. Kieran reveals that she acquired her arms from a spider girl and her legs from a demi-human, intending to use every part of Selena without waste. At that moment, Selena regains consciousness and asks Kieran if she truly committed all those crimes and deceived others as she had done to her. She accuses Kieran of betraying those who came to her for help. Kieran is taken aback by the mention of Commissioner Gouda, while Dolan notes that cowards hide behind endless justifications. Both he and Selena reveal small magical devices in their ears, revealing they were transmitting sound, allowing Gouda to listen to Kieran's confession. An explosion suddenly erupts, and Christina enters with Olivia, Gouda, and several soldiers. Christina approaches Dolan, expressing disbelief that they risk themselves as bait to capture Kieran. Olivia apologizes for involving them in the scheme, while Gouda orders the soldiers to arrest Kieran. Olivia reveals that she had deduced Kieran's plan to frame Selena for the kidnappings, planning to report that she had to kill Selena in self-defense and subsequently use her body for her own purposes. In response, Kieran speaks with contempt, asking if they are addressing her with disdain. She retorts that they can't possibly understand the agony of aging. Her gaze intensifies as she laments the suffering she endured to attain beauty. She recalls how, in her youth, she was captivated by the world's beauty but felt excluded from it. Viewing herself as vile, she began to prey on young girls, killing them repeatedly, casting enchantments until her body transformed into what it is today. Returning to the present, she declares her intention to demonstrate the results of her 300 years of research. Suddenly, Ciaran transforms into a gigantic monster, her body grotesquely fused with different species, creating a terrifying and monstrous appearance. She demands they hand over the Lamia and attacks them with the combined strength of her various body parts, revealing that she made a pact with a demon. Ciaran sacrificed countless souls to gain these powers and fulfill her deepest desires. Kieran begins an assault on the soldiers, but Selena quickly uses her cursed eyes to halt Kieran's movements, freezing her in place. Seeing the opportunity, Olivia commands the soldiers to retreat from the room. Although the battle is far from over, this gives them a brief chance to regroup. Kieran tries to attack Selena again, but Christina intervenes, cutting off Kieran's fingers, and then swiftly severs her limbs, causing immense pain, especially after Kieran loses her leg. Enraged, Kieran gathers all her strength and launches a fierce attack on Christina. In response, Dolan resorts to using dark magic to end the fight. Gouda warns him about the devastating power of such a spell, and Olivia agrees but stresses that time is running out. They need to act quickly, as Olivia cannot summon spirits from beneath the earth to help. Dolan assures Selena and Christina that he will handle the situation from here, activating a powerful barrier spell using a different magic circle. He confronts Kieran, asking if she truly finds satisfaction in what she is doing. Ciaran, consumed with anger, responds that she doesn't need his pity and boasts that her magical power has long surpassed human limits. She declares that soon they will all bow before her beauty. Dolan retorts, explaining that true beauty can never be achieved with blood-stained hands. He reminds her that the bodies she consumes belong to people with hopes and dreams for the future and were never meant to be devoured by someone like her. With that, Dolan unleashes his magic, vanquishing Ciaran within moments. The following day, Selena is studying with Dolan, but she feels exhausted from the lessons. Dolan gives her a break, and Selena complains that her head feels like it's about to explode due to the overwhelming information. Dolan encourages her to keep going, explaining that she needs to express her thoughts in the local language and that he's eager to see what she will write. Selena remarks that her cursed eyes seem to force her into difficult situations, keeping even Dolan trapped in the palace with her because of them. At that moment, Christina enters and asks if Selena has made any progress. Dolan replies that she has learned to read a little. Soon after, Director Olivia and Commissioner Gouda arrive unexpectedly, surprising everyone. Gouda, still managing the aftermath of the recent incident, apologizes for involving them in such a dangerous affair. Dolan admits he was shocked when Gouda suggested using them as bait to lure out Kieran, but thanks to an antidote his teacher provided, they were safe and immediately counteracted Ciaran's sedative. Gouda explains that the general government feels ashamed for allowing one of their witches to commit such terrible crimes. He then hands them 2 documents. The first is a permit for Gallo, and the second is a registration that allows Selena to live in Varen without any issues. Gouda assures them they always believed in her goodness and apologizes for the long wait. Selena is overjoyed and tells Dolan that he's very different from when they first met. Olivia then mentions that someone wants to meet Dolan, and Denzel approaches, greeting Dolan and expressing surprise at seeing him in Gallo. He explains that the director has shared Dolan's recent accomplishments and suggests they tour the city together. As they walk through the main street, Denzel mentions that anything they might need can be found there. However, the townspeople keep their children away from Selena, and everyone seems frightened of her presence. Selena suggests to Dolan that they buy gifts for the villagers in preparation for their return. Later, an old man thanks Dolan for his assistance, and Denzel suggests that Dolan consider joining the academy. Denzel explains that he discussed this with the director, who recognized Dolan's extraordinary magical power, insisting that it would be a shame for it to go unused. Dolan politely declines, explaining that he is busy with responsibilities in his village. Olivia steps closer, advising that if Dolan wants to use his power to help others, expanding his knowledge at the academy could be beneficial. Denzel adds that to protect his beloved village, he might need to leave it temporarily. This thought lingers with Dolan as they leave him to consider their offer. Later, Christina speaks with Dolan in the carriage, asking if he is reflecting on the director's suggestion. Dolan admits he is intrigued by the idea of the Magic Academy but feels he still has much to do in the village. He observes that visiting Gallo has made him realize how small and isolated Varen is. Seeking her opinion, Christina tells him that his potential in Varen is limited, whereas the academy could provide him with experiences unavailable there. Dolan ponders this, realizing Denzel might be right and that joining the academy could be a beneficial path. At the episode's conclusion, we see numerous monsters emerging from a mysterious portal. A young boy, witnessing the creatures, is left shocked and terrified. If you enjoyed this, drop a comment and subscribe for more. The story continues with a fierce battle between a man and a monster. The man lands a powerful blow, but despite his efforts, he ultimately loses his life. When his friend arrives, he finds him already dead. In the end, many lives are lost to these monsters, marking a great tragedy. After the battle, 2 individuals arrive, puzzled by the devastation and wondering how this tragedy occurred. They approach the man who is taking his last breaths and ask him what happened. He reveals that a horde of monsters attacked, then dies on the spot from his injuries. The scene shifts to Christina, who is training someone in swordplay, while Dolan instructs a young boy, giving him essential guidance. Selena observes Dolan with admiration, remembering a moment when the academy director once asked Dolan if he wanted to join the academy. The director told him that if he wished to protect the village he loved, he should follow this path. Back in the present, Selena wonders if Dolan might leave her behind one day. Just then, a group of playful children sit on her tail, making Selena feel like part of the village. As everyone grows accustomed to her presence, Christina approaches Dolan and tells him she would like to explore the forest. Dolan warns her about the dangers, but she insists, explaining that she wants to test her strength against the monsters. The scene shifts to everyone entering the forest, well equipped with weapons, as it has recently been inhabited by very powerful monsters, requiring constant vigilance. The forest air is refreshing, untouched by human pollution. Animals graze peacefully, and their leader reminds them to stay alert and reach out if they need anything. As they move forward, they take note of the forest's isolation, which calls for heightened awareness. Suddenly, a boar dashes in a different direction behind the trees. A soldier chases after it, but is stunned to see it soar through the air, its body split. Startled by the massive tiger that is attacked, the soldier is saved at the last moment as Balin arrives, crushing the tiger's head with a hammer. He scolds the soldier for being unprepared, then leaves. Out of nowhere, the strange creature from the beginning reappears and launches an attack. A question lingers: what is the origin of these creatures? Here are the possibilities. They could be artificial beings created by humans, alien creatures, beings from the depths of the earth, or demons from the realm of spirits. Viewers are invited to pause and leave a comment with their thoughts. Returning to the story, Dolan and his companions suddenly hear their leader's powerful scream and rush to him. When they arrive, they find him and his soldiers wounded on the ground. He urges them to flee, warning of the creature's deadly strength. Instead, Dolan steps forward, launching an energy projectile at the monster. Dolan explains that these are low-ranked demons, but despite their low rank, they possess significant strength. Christina asks how he knows about them, and Dolan replies that he read about them in a book. He then unleashes a powerful energy blast, paralyzing the creature, allowing Christina to quickly strike it down. Dolan asks her to keep the existence of these demons a secret from the villagers. Later that night, everyone gathers, waiting anxiously for their injured leader, Balin. The village elder enters, reassuring them that Balin is recovering well under the care of Magro and Mio. Christina asks the elder if creatures like these are common in the area. The elder responds that this is the first time he has heard of anything like this. He mentions that Balin, the village guard's captain, is the strongest soldier in the region. Dolan, meanwhile, wonders if something unusual is truly lurking in the forest. Just then, Magro enters and informs them that Balan has awakened. She explains that his wounds were inflicted by something far sharper than any natural creature. Dolan begins to worry that a greater danger might indeed be lurking in the forest. He feels compelled to confront it. Magro advises him that, living on the frontier, they must coexist with the dangers of nature, as they ultimately return to it. Dolan responds that humanity's nature also involves challenging natural order. He requests permission to investigate the forest further. Magro agrees, but only if he takes someone along. Christina volunteers, but the village elder objects, as her protection is crucial to the Academy and Commissioner Goda. At this point, Selena steps up, declaring she will accompany Dolan, as her cursed eyes give her magical abilities. Dolan agrees, asking everyone to let him and Selena handle the situation as it's their village, and they will take care of the threat. The village elder thanks them, urging them to prioritize their lives above all else and return safely. The story continues with Dolan reassuring the elder that they would prioritize their safety. The next morning, Dolan and Selena set off into the forest together. As they walked, Dolan noted that it had been a long time since it was just the two of them. Selena promised him she would do her best not to hold him back in the forest, mentioning that her cursed eyes would be ready if needed. As they reached the forest's edge, they suddenly felt a presence. Christina stepped out from the trees, greeting them and claiming it was a coincidence, as she was simply taking a walk through the forest. Dolan was skeptical, reminding her that the elder had forbidden her from leaving the village. Christina explained that she overheard him saying they would solve the village's issues themselves, but she felt a deep connection to Varen village and couldn't just stand by without helping. Dolan and Selena, sharing her sentiment, allowed her to join them, acknowledging that protecting the village was everyone's responsibility. Christina suggested they tell the elder they happened to cross paths and decided to walk together. During their journey, they encountered a giant spider, which Dolan killed with the help of Selena and Christina. Soon after, they came across another creature, a large monkey-like animal. Selena offered it a piece of fruit, and the creature, surprisingly polite, apologized for scaring them and accepted the fruit. Selena asked Dolan if the treat was one of Mio's creations, to which he confirmed, praising its delicious taste. Selena asked if he could give her more later. She then took the fruit to the small monkey, explaining to Christina that the creature might have been aggressive out of hunger. Dolan remarked on the creature's strength and observed that they might have been forced from their feeding grounds. He wondered if other creatures, like the giant spiders, were also affected by changes in the forest. Christina agreed that the situation couldn't be ignored. She tried some of the food and enjoyed it. Dolan mentioned that his mother had baked it using wheat from the village, and that his father had taught him how to dry and preserve the meat, calling it a wholesome meal. Selena complimented Christina, saying she looked lovely even while eating just a little. Dolan agreed, commenting that she had an elegant, almost classic charm. Blushing, Christina asked them to stop teasing her. Selena then mentioned wanting someone to help her strengthen her enchantment spell, so it could aid her in finding a husband. Dolan told her she didn't need anything extra, as she was already beautiful. Selena was thrilled by his comment, thinking that he might want to marry her, though he hadn't shown any clear signs of that. Suddenly, they sensed a presence ahead. A magical crystal ball appeared, containing a fairy who urgently warned them to run away. Just as she spoke, a demon appeared. Dolan asked Selena to keep the animals away while he charged at the demon, but it managed to dodge his attacks. Christina jumped in, defeating the demon, but soon more demons arrived, attacking them one by one. During the battle, a demon lunged at Dolan while another hovered above him. Dolan struck the first demon with his sword, and his hands transformed into dragon claws, allowing him to kill it. Dolan realized that the dragon's power was making the fight much easier. He saved Christina from a demon sneaking up behind her, and she thanked him for saving her life. Selena teasingly asked how he could be all right without her help. Dolan replied that her humility made her even more beautiful and enchanting. After the fight, the fairy thanked them for their help and asked if they were human. They introduced themselves, and the fairy explained that the demon soldier had suddenly started chasing her. Dolan speculated that the demons might be behind the strange changes in the forest. He suspected that these imps were merely scouts, hinting that stronger demons might be approaching. Christina asked the fairy, whose name was Marl, about her troubles, offering their assistance as they were there to investigate. Marl replied that they were facing many issues and she appreciated their support. Dolan noted that the demons were observing them with cautious interest, rather than outright hostility. Then, a forest spirit appeared, and a man approached her, instructing Marl to step back. Dolan looked at him with surprise, and with that, the episode ended.